Oof. Oh man. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of The Age of the Comeback. And just to address what happened last weekend, there was just some circumstances that happened that I couldn't make the episode. So I truly, sincerely apologize if you, my viewers and my listeners, were tuning in. I sincerely apologize. You know, real leaders, they negotiate time, and I did not do that. So that's feedback from me, and my sincerest apologies. Okay? I will do better moving forward. That is my new commitment to you guys. Just to be in committed action and to make these videos as much as possible and to just enlighten myself, enlighten you guys, and just be here for you. Okay? All right. So, welcome to the Age of the Comeback. My name is Brandon, your host with the most. Pow, 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 boom. And today we are going to do 2 episodes. We're going to do 2 episodes, so it's going to be an extra long episode where the first portion of this long episode is going to be named Knowledge plus Action equals Creation. Knowledge plus action equals creation. And the second portion of this video, or the second half of this video, is going to be named, or that episode is going to be named Celebration. Woo! All right. So let's kick this thing off. Now, ask yourself the question, knowledge. What exactly is it? I'll give you a moment to think about it. Now, action. What exactly is it? I'll give you time to think about it. We went over creation about 2 weeks back, the episode that I created 2 weeks back. However, now we're putting things together that equates creation. Brandon, what the hell are you talking about, dude? Why are you blowing my mind right now? Why are you blowing my mind right now? Well, let me put it this way, okay? Well, I believe that all of us have a fundamental understanding of what knowledge is, what creation is, and what action is. I said that out of order, my bad. Knowledge, action, and creation. I believe we all have a fundamental understanding of those 3 concepts. Now, where I would like to go first, or dive deep into first, is the concept of knowledge. Knowledge. I've asked you the question already. However, let me tell you my take on knowledge, or what's in my experience of the word knowledge. Knowledge is information that you have retained. Because there's information that can go through one ear and out the other, just like as a teenager when my mom told me to fold my clothes. I never heard that. So, One ear, out the other. Okay, guilty. Knowledge, however, is information that you retain. Knowledge is information that you retain. So, for example, where I'm going with this episode is repetitive cycles that you've been creating in your life that you don't necessarily want anymore. You want to create something new cycles, new habits, new friends, new groups of people, new acquaintances, new job, new everything. You want to create something new with your life. However, you've been stuck in this repetitive cycle of continuous, I'm going to call it relapsing. Continuous relapsing, not really understanding where the subconscious behaviors are coming from. However, you have the knowledge to know that you want something different with yourself. You have the knowledge. You have the knowledge that you want to create something different with your life in a positive aspect, in a positive turn of events, in a positive outlook. However, we are in this cycle of self-destruction, or in my words, relapsing, where we're subconsciously making the same loops in our lives, the same train of thoughts, which lead to the same train of actions that keep creating unwanted results. So this is where I'm going with this episode. Knowledge. Knowledge is information that you retain. And information, you get information from everything. You get information from everything. Okay? For example, the information that I got troubleshooting how to make this wireless microphone work for the past 2 hours and adjusting my lighting for these sessions, and also the perfect camera setup, and just the list goes on. That is all information that can either go through one ear and out the other, or I can retain the information so I don't make these mistakes again, and I could create something new next time and not take 2 hours of setup time in order for this breakthrough to happen, which now I'm sitting in front of you doing the podcast and the video for the YouTube channel. Knowledge is information you retain. So now, actually, before I go into action, okay, those 2 hours that I spent, let me break it down to you this way. Those 2 hours that I spent doing this setup, that could relate to 2 hours, actually to 2 minutes, 2 hours, to 2 days, to 2 weeks, to 2 years, to 2 decades. How you do one thing is how you do everything. If the knowledge, or if the information you take in, you don't retain. Okay? Now in this case, in my defense, this is my first time setting up a wireless microphone. I have 2 new stands for lighting. So, there's trial and error here, okay? However, that's where I'm getting at, is if I were to make the same mistake of a 2-hour setup, next time I set up next week for another episode, then that's unwanted results. Okay? Now, how does that translate to everyday life? It's 2 minutes, becomes 2 hours, becomes 2 weeks, or 2 days, then 2 weeks, then 2 years, then 2 decades, and the list goes on and on and on and on. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you are late by just even 2 minutes, you'll be surprised how it reflects in your life. So now, knowledge. You've gotten done with knowledge and how it reflects in your life when you don't retain the information. When you don't retain the information, it becomes a repetitive cycle of trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. Okay? Now let's get into action. Action, my favorite word ever. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Action. And I'll tell you a little bit of backstory of me, okay? I was a person that knew everything. My ego was so big that you couldn't tell me shit. You couldn't tell me shit about how to do things better with my life, of, you know, wanting me to become sober, just backpedaling just a tad bit more. I am sober from a 7-year cocaine addiction. Okay, I've been sober for about 1.5 years now, and it's been the biggest blessing of my life, and I'm here sitting in front of you speaking about creation now. What the heck is going on? Right? So knowledge is action, or knowledge is information that you retain, and now going into action. Because action is where a lot of people, they talk a big freaking talk, but they cannot walk the walk. They cannot walk the walk. And to correct myself there, they can walk the walk, it's just they don't. They choose not to, because everything is a choice. Everything in this life is a choice. Everything. Action is literally what it means. Okay? Getting your ass up and doing something about a situation. Doing an action. Now let me put this in an interpretation for you here. Okay? Action. Oh man, this is such a beautiful topic. I love this. I love this. Because action is primarily just doing an action, right? It's just doing something. Okay? And how that relates to everything, everyday life, is think about how anxiety works. Think about how anxiety works. When the world is falling on top of you, when you are stuck between a rock and a hard place, when you are just bombarded with all of this information and weight of the world, that you get paralyzed by the overthinking. Now that I think about it, yeah, anxiety is a lot of overthinking. That you don't know where to go next. What to do in this moment. And action takes you out of that space. Same thing with depression. Same thing with fear. Same thing with anger. Same thing with sadness. Same thing with any emotion that is derived from fear. Action is actually the way out. Because as you know, from the first episode, I quoted one of my trainers that I've come to love and adore from Live For You Emotional Intelligence and Leadership Trainings. One of her sayings is, the only way out is through. The only way out is through. The only way to get out of these spaces of repetitive thought cycles of anger, depression, sadness, jealousy, insecurity, unworthiness, all, mind you, that I've battled with intensely. And there's still thoughts of these cycles coming up. However, the tool to use here is action. 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 Now, what about action takes you out of those thought cycles? What about action takes you out of those repetitive loops of constant results that you do not want? What about action takes you out of that? Do you understand how much energy it takes for the body to get up and do something? Just a shift, just a small shift in the thought cycle to get up and do something. Action is the way to shift from the cycle of the past repeating itself over and over and over, and committing to the actions of the present generates a new future for us. Let me explain that really quick. 7 years cocaine addict you're speaking to here. 7 years. When I tried to get sober, I kept relapsing, no matter how many tears my mom, no matter how many times my dad yelled at me, no matter how many times my brothers cried and just didn't know what to do because of the amount of pain I was putting my family through. I put my life on pause, and I put everybody else's lives around me on pause as well. Nobody grew in that 7 years because it was a constant loop of relapse. Because where am I putting my power to? Where am I investing my power into? I'm investing my power within into an external force, which is the drugs, and honestly the alcohol too. Action, however, in this present moment keeps me away from it. Doing these videos and getting to edit them in the morning takes me away from any bad influences on a Friday night. Okay? Action in the present creates a new future for yourself in the future. It creates a new timeline for your future. Because who's to say that I could cut this video off right now and relive my past and get X amount of drugs and just be up for 3 days? I can do that right now. However, the action I'm taking in the present right now has created a new timeline for me in the future. Okay? So, with that being said, with action, you take back the power you've invested externally and you take it back and you reinvest it within yourself. And that's huge. Because a lot of people don't, in my experience, don't really understand the amount of power that they have over their lives. They really, really don't. Okay? Now, I've gone into a lot of my past. I've gone into how the past repeats itself into the future if we do not remain present and we take action in the present. I've gotten into that. Now, how does knowledge and action equal creation? How does it? Let me ask you that. How does it work? I want you to think about it. This is not just a one-way road here. I'd love for you guys to genuinely think about that, so I'll give you some time. How does knowledge plus action equal creation? Yeah. You know, I smile and I laugh because I went to my financial advisor, Mirna at Primerica, and it was an amazing experience because we were talking about my past and just how she knew a bunch of people that knew everything. And I was talking to her about these emotional intelligence leadership workshops, and I told her that, you know, people's egos are so big, especially when they're on drugs, or especially when they're addicted to anything, right? And it's not addicted to just even substance, addicted to their ego, addicted to anger, addicted to pain, addicted to depression, addicted to a lot of these things. And I'll explain addiction in a way more deeper level as far as the brain science behind it in future episodes. However, I was speaking to her about these people that are addicted to things that they don't even understand or know, and their egos are so big that they get in the way of themselves. They get in their own way. You look at somebody that continuously gets in their own way, they're addicted to something in their life. They're addicted to a cycle in their life, and chances are they are creating the results that they do not want in their lives. So, with that being said, I'm speaking to Mirna, my financial advisor, and what ends up happening is that we're speaking about the ego, and light bulbs start clicking off inside of her head. They just start shooting off. Because I told her that people that know everything, they've retained it, yes, because they know it and they can just spit it out. They can know everything about politics. They can know anything about gaming. They can know anything about IT. They can know anything about science. They can know anything about anything. And they could verbalize every single concept to you. They can do it. However, when it comes to action, it's a no-go. It's a no-go. Why? Because they know it all. How many times have you met people in your life that knows it all, that they're good? And I'm not taking away from anybody. Like, people are good, right? Nobody needs to grow. Nobody needs to do anything. right? Nobody needs to do anything. Okay? Just nobody needs to do anything. So I'm not taking away anything from anybody. However, where was I? However, how many times have you met people that know everything? That know absolutely everything. I can't stop saying it because, like, I used to be one of these people. I used to be one of these people. I knew everything. I knew everything. I was, and I still am an incredibly smart individual. I'd hope to say, right? However, I knew everything. Nobody could tell me shit. My ego was so big, especially when I was on drugs. Nobody could tell me anything while I was a teenager. Nobody could tell me anything as a young adult in my early 20s, in my late 20s. Nobody could tell me anything because I knew it all, especially on drugs. But when it came to action, to put my foot where my mouth was, when it came to put my money where my mouth was, I could not do it. I kept relapsing. I kept spending all of my money. I kept enjoying the frivolous things in life. I could not save, even though I was speaking to everybody about saving this and that and this and that. I couldn't do it myself. So when it came to action, I was all talk. I was all talk. All talk. Wow. Trip down memory lane. Trip down memory lane. It was a it was a pretty crazy experience, a pretty detrimental part of my life where I could not get out of that cycle for 7 years and kept repeating and creating results that I did not want in my life. You see what I'm saying? So now, when you put the two together, okay? So there may be a transition. There may be a transition here because my memory card and my camera ran out, so my camera turned off. However, I'm gonna try my best to remember where I was at. So, knowledge plus action. Now, action. Where was I? Oh yeah. So, by taking the knowledge that I knew that yes, I get to create something new of my life. Like I want to create something new of my life. However, in the subconscious, these loops kept happening where the thoughts were always the same, and which led to me creating the same actions over and over and over again, which gave me the results of pain for 7 years, 7 whole years. Shifting into action and enrolling myself into emotional intelligence and leadership workshops, this changed my whole dynamic of just my perception on reality. Because whatever cycles that you're creating in your life, they're all coming from a lens. They're all coming from a lens. And 99% of the time, I'd say it's a lens of the ego. Okay? However, the ego is not you. Again, the ego does not make you you. Because that's just all of the experiences that you grew up with from childhood up to your present age. So you can take off those ego lenses and you can put on, lenses of love, lenses of compassion, lenses of understanding, lenses of gratitude, lenses of adornments, lenses of passion, and it just goes on and on and on and on. So the perception shift changed my ways of thinking because I was able to put on a different lens. And then from there, once wearing another lens, they generate different thoughts, positive thoughts, thus creating positive actions, thus creating a positive future. So lesson learned here, guys. This was a really long episode as it is right here. Knowledge plus action equals creation. Again, that's knowledge plus action equals creation. So the knowledge is information that is retained. And just a quick example, if you are creating results that you do not want in your life from repetitive thought cycles and repetitive action cycles, you've already gotten the knowledge that you've retained, or the information that you've retained. You've already received it and you've retained it. That you don't want to continue doing this anymore. Now, pairing it with the action of doing something about it, instead of just talking about it, doing something about it, shifts the energy of where you've been investing your power externally into and bringing it back home. Bringing it back home where it belongs. Within you. And from there, you have the will and the power in order to commit to those actions in the present to start creating a new timeline for your future. Start jumping into and committing to new cycles of growth and aspiration and love and compassion and shifted perceptions, different lenses you get to put on in order to start creating a new timeline for your future. Amazing. So that's our episode, guys, for this particular section here. And this section is called Knowledge plus Action equals Creation. And I'm so excited for this next topic here. It is called, and this is the episode's name, Celebration. Celebration. Now, what's the importance of celebrating? That's what I really want to guide this episode into. What's the importance of celebrating milestones? What's the importance of it? I'll tell you one thing about me. In the past, I was such a go-getter. And I still am, don't get me wrong. However, in the past, I was such a go-getter that once I reached my milestones and I reached my goals, I immediately just thought about the next one, right? immediately started thinking about the next goal. What am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? I'm always in an anxious loop where I cannot take a moment to be in the present and just really give myself the congratulations and a pat on the back that I deserved for achieving outstanding milestones in my life. You know, now that I think about it, I really wish I can go back to teenager and early 20s Brandon and give him a hug and give him a pat on the back and just say, dude, I'm so proud of you. Oh man, why am I getting emotional now? Wow. Wow. Celebration. Oh my gosh. What the hell is going on? Celebration. When wow. I don't know. I'm just thinking about all the times I could have said that to myself and treated myself to something nice, and it's all coming back to me right now. Coincidentally on this episode. Oh my god. Celebration is so important. It's so important because it's an opportunity to be in the present. You're not living in the future and you're not living in the past. It's such an amazing opportunity just to bunker down in the present and just enjoy what you've created. I'm ecstatic for what I'm creating with you, the viewers, through this podcast and through this video channel. It's honestly a dream come true. I'm coming from humble beginnings. However, an opportunity to connect is a blessing, and that is something worth celebrating. It really is. Celebration. Wow, I feel so light. Like, see, like that right there. So, a celebration is a release of so much bad energy. All of the energy and the thought cycles and everything that you've been through from the source through the entire journey to the destination, you're able to shake that off. Man, I'm getting chills right now. Wow. You're able to shake that off and really bunker down into this present moment where the infinite and the divine rests in. Just to be able to shake off that energy that's a way of not recreating the past. Because now you're going in with celebration energy, I'd like to call it, with incredible power of getting back into work because you were able to shake off that bad energy, that energy that you don't want latching onto you anymore. Like the sadness and the depression and the anger and wow. Let me tell you a quick story. So, one of my students in emotional intelligence and leadership workshops, that I was senioring for. He graduated with a master's degree in business analytics last weekend, coincidentally, on Friday at ASU. And taking that opportunity to celebrate how far he has come within his journey was such a groundbreaking moment. I'm sure for him, I'm positive for him, when I could only imagine graduating with a master's, right? However, for me, it was such an amazing opportunity for me to ground myself, to be present with my stepson and Kanan, with my future wife Cynthia, and my daughter Sienna, that's making a whole bunch of noise in the background there because she thinks I'm talking to her. It was such an amazing opportunity to be present and to celebrate and to let go of what was hindering me for the day, hindering me for the week, hindering me for it. It could go way back. It doesn't have to just stop at a week. Just hindering me continuously. And I shook off that energy, and it was such a blessed day. It was such an amazing, blessed day. Celebration, you get to take the energy and the aura of the people around you as well if you're in a group environment celebrating, and let that inject inside of you as well, thus pushing out, leaving no room for bad energy to fill your vessel, to fill your electromagnetic field. Now you can do this while you're alone as well. However, these are acts of self-love. Celebration is an act of self-love. When was the last time you told yourself in the mirror, I love you? I love you. I love you. When was the last time that you told yourself that? And not only telling yourself that, what actions did you do in order to make that declaration, I love you, to yourself true? What actions did you make or do to make that declaration embodied with your cellular memory? What did you do? What did you do? There's multiple ways of doing this. Say I love you as many times as you can in the mirror. Do it. It feels amazing. And I know maybe some of you, just like me, when I first started doing this, I cried my eyes out because I cannot remember the last time I told myself that I love me. I can't remember. So I invite you to do that for yourself. Tell yourself that you love yourself in the mirror as many times as you want to. And now an action to accommodate that, to embody that declaration into the cellular memory, into the subconscious. That way you start moving like you love yourself. You start moving like you're a walking celebration. you start walking and moving, and your body language and your voice and the way you use your stride and your eye contact comes to fruition that you love yourself, because celebration comes with self-love. Love yourself. Love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. During that celebration of my student's graduation for his master's, I couldn't help but not only love him, love my family, love myself, and just love everyone around me. What an amazing experience. Celebration is so important, to pat yourself on the back, to pat others on the back, and say, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Celebrate life. Celebrate others' lives. And celebrate creation. Celebrate it. Celebrate the power to create. Because you have it, I have it, we all have it. Just remember, after you're done creating and after you're done getting to your goals, celebrate. Celebrate. So a lesson here is celebration is so important in going to next steps in your growth, because it requires remaining present in the moment to reinvest all of the energy that you've given to all of the thoughts of through the entire journey that you've accumulated from the source to the destination of your goals. And you have an opportunity to shake it off clean. Shake it off clean by celebrating. Give yourself a pat on the back. Go take a hot bath with a bunch of rose petals. Go to your favorite restaurant. Have a couple of drinks, but be responsible. And just celebrate. Shake off the energy, man. You deserve it. You're worthy of it. You're really worthy of it. Celebrate. And that's our episode. Woo! This episode's name is Celebration. And just remember, in order to keep moving forward and keep creating, remaining present and celebrating in the present is a good first step, and actually a monumental first step in creating the future that you want for yourself. Celebrating. It doesn't always have to be work. Have some fun too. This is the Age of the Comeback. See you guys again later.